Human connections. With every passing year, technology becomes ever more deeply embedded at the center of our workplaces, while in some industries, the changes seem to come in on a monthly basis. Likewise, the relentless evolution of mobile and web technologies floods our social lives with ever more reasons to turn our backs on the real world and focus on the digitally created version instead. The debate over whether 2,000 Facebook likes can compare with 100 real-world connections has been recycled. But what about our work connections? Most of us appreciate the value of having to wait 10 minutes instead of 10 days for a message to pass back and forth, or the advantages of using video conferencing to bridge distances when an important meeting is scheduled, but are there technology-related challenges to overcome too? Apart from endlessly generating new passwords or locating device chargers, of course. The problem with virtual relationships. Sometimes it is easier to deal with people remotely than face-to-face, and herein lies one of the dangers of becoming too comfortable with technology-mediated human connections. As unpredictable organic lumps of chemical reactions, us humans need something more than logic and efficiency to give our lives meaning. And the absence of this can lead to frustration and plummeting morale. Add to this our spooky knack of misunderstanding remote communications, particularly if we're not feeling on top of the world, and the potential for friction is easy to see. If there's any part of an organization that needs to think seriously about bringing back the human touch, it's HR. To start with, think about any irritations you've been feeling about the workplace. How many of them have come about through a lack of face-to-face contact? Did someone send a short, sharp email that annoyed you, or have you had your judgment overruled in preference to a set of protocols churned out by a machine? Have your weekly meetings been cut short or canceled lately because the critical information can't be cascaded by email? Companies are forever looking to maintain the human connection with their customers through sophisticated branding. But what about the shared bonds between staff members? Does that not need attention too? Our social evolution has equipped us with the amazing ability to read nuances in body language and facial expression. The more emotionally intelligent among us can immediately pick up on the fact that a team member does not understand a concept or is unhappy about it. These signals can be lost in translation if human connections are impoverished, harming the company's unity. Mobile games have turned even the most reluctant of us into low-key gamers, and HR is slowly expanding to incorporate such a method to train. By building interactive media, employees can now be engaged on an even deeper level while simultaneously learning what they need to stay up to date with corporate policy. This upcoming game-based learning is fantastic in that it stimulates the brain in a way that textbook study could only ever dream of achieving. As we see this influx of learning games hit the market, be sure to look for certain key features to make sure it does what it claims. Read up on the game's story. While a customer service platform may be fun, it will hardly serve the sales department in their need to practice closing deals. Also, bear in mind that games can have more than one story. There should certainly be an overarching plot, but within that, there should be numerous situations. The more variety, the better, as this will expose the team to even more areas of learning, helping them to expand their knowledge base. This is ultimately the why behind the reason for playing the game, and as such, should be engaging. Next is the game itself. This is comprised of the core rules. If a player does X, Y will happen. It also features the goal. It gives the entire system a purpose. It could be a simple definition and keyword matching game, or it could be as advanced as a logistics simulator, putting the player in charge of managing a transportation fleet without any undue consequences to the company. Take this as the rubric by which you want to score the employees. The results will be measurable, and because of this, you'll want to make sure the rules suit your needs. Finally, play completes the triad. This feature is the interactive portion. It gives life to an otherwise boring and unintelligible string of code. It presents the player with interactions and consequences. Being visual, it can also make or break how employees react. Due to this, you'll want to make sure you invest in something that isn't too cartoonish. Also, be sure to test drive a game before buying it. You'll need to verify there are no bugs derailing an otherwise promising teaching tool. Technology is ushering in a plethora of inventive new ways of advancing the business landscape. Teaching through games means you can now train employees in ways that are much more engaging than meetings and are also less expensive. Technology may also be having an impact on how we perceive the sensory world around us. Despite the ever-increasing number of pixels our gadgets can cram onto a screen display, our eyes still do not experience the same rich input as they would in an external environment. And this is even more true for our other senses. This has led some experts to fear that an over-reliance on technology, particularly those that use flat displays like most emails and text interfaces, actually trains us, over a working lifetime, to become less perceptive to the vibrancy in the world that surrounds us. A large source of inspiration for creatives throughout history. There are similar concerns about the dumbing down effect of being able to search for the answers to our questions using technology alone. Are we being robbed of the organic reward mechanism that makes learning and understanding pleasurable activities? Instead of computers becoming more human-like, are humans in danger of regressing into little more than flesh and blood machines?